I mean, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time is a decision that you can make, and it can cost you the rest of your life. So when I was sentenced to those 2 consecutive life without parole sentences plus 29 years, what this sentence meant was that I would die in prison. I was buried alive. Literally. I didn't have a chance for parole. I didn't have a release date. Just pause for a minute. Think what that did to my mother. See, we was talking about these mothers, these great mothers in here today. Think about, I want the children to think about what that would do to your mother or your father. When you know that they put so much effort and energy in trying to guide you right, but one decision that you make, one decision, can cost you your entire freedom. The state initially tried to sentence me to death at the age of 17. I was on trial for death, and this is not something that I'm proud of. But I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to give you all the real about me today. It's easy to get into that trouble, right? But when you're sitting in that courtroom and you got 12 people, 12 jurors or a judge sitting up there trying to determine your fate, you're going to be scared. You're going to regret the decision that you made. Trouble is easy to get into, but hard to get out of. Now let me fast forward, and then I'm going to rewind for a minute. It took me 25 years to fight for my freedom. It's a statement that I always say in every single speech that I deliver. And the statement goes, nothing changes if nothing changes. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And never make a decision based upon a temporary, never make a permanent decision based upon a temporary emotion or circumstance. What is temporary? Meaning, you may get upset, someone may upset you, but that's only temporary. Trust me, you're not going to be mad forever. Over whatever it is that upset you, that's going to pass. It's not that serious at the end of the day. But if you make a decision, right, and just react based upon that temporary emotion, the consequences can be permanent. Never make a decision, a permanent decision, based upon a temporary emotion. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Now, I was caught up in the street. Before I even say that, let me say, it took me 25 years to fight for my freedom, right? 25 years. I was recently released 5.5 months ago. I fought forcibly. I had my double life without parole sentences vacated by the federal court, right? Thankfully. And, I fought, and then I became eligible for parole and made first parole after not having a release date. But this second opportunity right here, this blessing came as a consequence of me changing the way that I think and changing my behavior, because when you change the way that you think and when you change your behavior, then there's different consequences that attaches to the action that you engage in.
Say it again.
Changing the way that you think. When you change the way that you think, you change the way that you act. And when you change the way that you act, the consequences, the result of those actions become different. So when I entered in prison, I was fortunate. I was able to change the way that I thought, my thinking process. I was able to reform myself. I became rehabilitated. I'm not saying that I should not have went to prison. I should have went to prison. This is the truth. But I should not have received the sentence that I received because I was a child. See, but I'm telling you, everybody don't care about the fact whether or not you're a child. Your parents care, but when you get caught up in that system, they don't care about whether or not you're a child. They sentence you like an adult. So you got to take care of you. So when my actions changed, then people started believing in me and started believing in my change, and the consequences changed. And what's the consequence? It's my freedom.
Come on, man.
Freedom was the consequence of changing the way that I think and changing the way that I act. But had I continued to engage in the same activities that I engaged in, the same type of thinking that led to prison, I wouldn't be here speaking before you all right now. Trouble is easy to get into. One decision that I made got me 2 consecutive life without parole sentences plus 29 years. Right? And it took me 25 years to get that up off of me. So never make a permanent decision based upon a temporary emotion. I want you all to remember that. So they spoke earlier about listening to the people that are in your lives. This brother, I salute you. Like seriously, it takes a grown man, right? A real mature man who really care about their child to say, listen, I'm doing all that I can do, but can you say something that's going to help this young man? See, because at the end of the day, it's about the child. If you get in your own way and say, well, I don't want my child to receive any type of benefit from the life experiences from anyone else, then you really don't love that child. See, because we say it becomes cliche. Oh, it takes a village, right? We say that it takes a village to raise a child, but yet when we have other people that's in the village that have an experience that the child could benefit from, we don't want the person to give their experience to the child. So I salute you, brother.
That's right.
That was a good example for him to see. So my message here to you all today, what I want to say is, be careful about the decisions that you make before you make them. See, because a lot of people, they are traveling through life on autopilot. You know what I mean by that? On autopilot, which means if you're flying a plane, right, and you put it on autopilot, you can just take your hand off of the wheel that directs the plane, and it's just gonna go. You're gonna miss your turn. You don't care. Just wherever it lands at, that's where, whatever direction it go in, you're gonna go, right? And many people go through life on autopilot. What I'm telling you is to control this body, and it starts with controlling your thinking. Whatever you do, make a conscious decision to make that decision that's gonna have the best consequences that attaches to it. See, what we do, and I'm gonna speak to the younger men first. Like I grew up with this ego-dominated perception of masculinity. What do that mean? It sounds like a lot of big words. This is what it means, right? Let me break this down. What this means is I believe that the person who was the most masculine or most manly is the person who beat up the most people. I'm serious. This is how I grew up thinking. Or you got the most money, right? Or you get the most women. We grew up thinking that has nothing to do with masculinity at all. Right? Meaning being a man. Being a man is all about the way that you think. This is where it starts at. See, you're either going to think, you're going to make a decision, and you're going to sacrifice for your family, right? Even if it means your personal pleasure, right? And the same thing to the woman, being a woman. It goes back to the same thing, being a responsible thinker. The decisions that you make. Healthy thinking. So, it's a difference. Now, look, I'm going to connect this to this plane that we talked about on autopilot, right? A lot of us, we go through life and we allow the things outside of us to determine our fate. Right? For instance, somebody walk up to me right now. Boom, he bumped me. I react. Boom, I blew his brains out. Now I'm sitting up in prison. Now who's going to suffer as a consequence? My parents and and I'm going to suffer too in prison because it's really not a joke up in there. It's a brutal, traumatic experience. I don't care how hard a person say that they are. Nobody want to be in prison. Trust me when I tell you that. It's nothing good about that environment. It's traumatic. What type of grown man or grown woman, listen to what I'm saying, want to be told when to eat and sleep and when to poop? When you can call your family. I can't call my mom unless you tell me I can call my mom. I can't call my daughter unless you tell me to call my daughter. It's demasculating.
Yes.
Right? This is how it is in prison. The system controls you. So let me make this point. When we react, right? We say that we're going to react. So now I blew that man's brains out. I should respond. See, because the reality is that everybody that walk past and just bump you, I'm using this as an example just to drive my point home. It don't mean that they're testing me or they're trying to do anything to me. So I should step back and think. Right. Excuse me, man. How you doing, bro? And talk to the person. Ask him, everything okay? You bumped me? And, sometimes you might want to just walk away because it ain't that serious. You may not even see that person again another day in your life, but it's not worth risking your freedom.
True.
You got to think about it. See, because when you're on the road driving, you got drunk drivers, people drive reckless, right? You got to watch out. Just get out of the way. You can have all of that. That's yours. You can have it. Because the path that you're going is going to lead you right to where I just came from. You got it, bro. That whole area, this space has no value to me. You can have it. Do whatever it is that you want to do to it. That's being a man.
That's right.
Knowing when to walk away. See, because now you're making a decision for your family. Even these young boys and young girls, you're making a decision for your family. Everything that you do impact them. This is being a responsible thinker. Every single decision that you make, you can make one decision, right? And it's going to have a ripple effect. One more quick example on how you have to be careful about what you allow to dictate your actions and control you. I'm going to prove to everybody that at some level, we all go through life on autopilot, right? This is an example. So right now, see, it's possible when it comes to thinking. Have you ever heard a person say, what you thinking about? And they be like, nothing. That's literally impossible. It's impossible to think about nothing. If you're thinking about nothing, then you're dead. But how many times we ask people, what you thinking about? Nothing. You're lying. It's impossible. So, but what the person is saying is that they're going through life on autopilot, like a zombie. They're not controlling their thoughts. Whatever life gives them, they accept it. Y'all feel me? It don't matter what it is. That's what they mean when they say I'm thinking about nothing, right? But check this. Right now, that's a person who go through life on autopilot. But something each and every one of you are doing right now, you're not thinking about it. And that's breathing. And that's till I just told you. Nobody in this room was thinking about breathing until I just said breathing. And this is an example of how we go through life. You see what I'm saying? It's something that you do so much, it becomes easy and you do it naturally, but you're not even like consciously controlling it. But now you can take control of your breath and say, I'm going to breathe slow. I'm going to take healthy breaths. I'm going to inhale and exhale. Now you're controlling it. But before that, you were just going, you was breathing on autopilot. This is the reality. And this is how the mind works. So what I'm saying is you have to be conscious about the things that you allow inside of your mind because it can corrupt it. Not only can it corrupt it, right? If you're not careful of the way that you think, then you can react. And that reaction can have a consequence that are so detrimental it can cost you your entire freedom or have a ripple effect through your entire family where it's hard to bounce back from. So my message is this. Control your thoughts. If you control your thoughts, then you can control the decisions that you make. Y'all hear me? Control your thoughts. If you control your thoughts, then you can control the decisions that you make. And when you make a decision, think about the consequences that attach to that decision that you make. And if you're willing to accept those consequences, then make the decision. Really think about that. I'm going to say this again. Always think about the consequences, meaning the result. If I do this, this could likely happen. If you're willing to accept those consequences, then do it. That way, at the end of the day, you can't cry to nobody, and I'm speaking to myself first, about what the decision that you made. So when you hear Monique talk about the decisions, this is what we're talking about. Be a responsible decision maker. And this is my message to you all today, because you don't want to be like me, the individual who make a decision and then end up in prison with double life without parole sentences. Everybody not fortunate to make it back up out of there. I've literally seen people put ropes around their neck, sheets around their neck, and hang themselves in the Virginia Department of Corrections because the time was just too much. That's the decision that they made. Now their family got to live with the consequences. So I appreciate you all allowing me to share your space today, allowing me to offer some of my life experiences to y'all, for allowing me to give you some of the gems that I have to give and the wisdom that I have. And I hope that if I said one thing that you can benefit from, please take it. But the one thing that I'm hoping that everybody can collectively take from my talk today is being a responsible thinker and a person who makes the type of decisions that's going to have the least consequence that attach to it. So, to all of the youth, you all are our future. Yes. That's something that's not, we got to, strip it from being cliche again. Because this is the truth. If we take care of the youth are going to take care of us because we're going to get older. So when we listen to y'all saying that y'all want to be lawyers and doctors and you know, these are y'all are the people, like, listen, we got to pour into y'all. I believe that you all are going to be that.
That's right.
It needs you to be there.
If we need you to be that. We need you to take care of us when we get older. Can you feel me? So listen, I love y'all. And continue to like evolve into better versions of yourselves. And I hope that y'all got something out of my talk today. I appreciate you, Monique. You know, you are a blessing, and thank you for caring about the youth. And you know, y'all have a great day.
You know, amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. This is Brother Azeem. I've heard him speak. He's just, his influence, his mentorship and everything, like he's really amazing. One thing I'm gonna say to what Brother Azeem said is, don't allow your emotions to supersede your intelligence either. Because that one emotion could be a not smart emotion because you just wanna just react because you're angry and look, and teens, y'all entitled to your feelings. Feel your feels. It's okay to feel your feels. But know what he just said is real. There will be consequences to your actions, no matter what you do in life. He's 5. If he's sticking a fork in a socket, he gonna get in trouble. That's a consequence because he knows not to do that.
Yes.
She knows. We know not to ditch school, right? Mom, dad, grandma, they're not having it. It's gonna be a consequence to that. And y'all love this. This is the best punishment for y'all.
Yeah.
That's my goddaughter over there. I tell her mother all the time, take her phone. If she wanna act up, take her phone. I'll come get it. Y'all love this phone. So with him saying what he said, is truth to it. If you going to school, you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're being honest, you're not lying, you're not trying to be fast, you're not trying to do this, you're not trying to do that, trust me, your parents is going to trust you. And things won't be so hard. Because we're going to trust that you're going to make the right decisions. And they instill it, we're instilling what we have to. A lot of us is just black single mothers. Let's keep it above. And we're doing our best. I give thanks to Allah that my son is 30 years old, never gave me a problem. Sometimes he thinks he knows everything, but he's never gave me a problem. And he could have. There's one time I seen him going this way with the wrong crowd. I said, oh no, we're not doing that. Yoked him right on up. No, we're not doing